That truck needs to come back. The only thing we ever had problems with on this was axles. That's it. That truck has seen serious war.
It served in Vietnam, Iraq, and the Revolutionary War. It was decommissioned after sustaining multiple salvage yard threatening injuries. A lot of people have been asking me about my first gen Tacoma. I've been building this 05, but now this is my 96 that I bought like 10 years ago. So I figured I'd pull it in today. I retired this thing a couple years back, and I haven't driven it since because it needs so much work. But I got a lot of interest in it. People want to see it back on the trails, and I would like to drive it too.
That truck needs to come back.
Going to show you what we're working with. This is how it's been parked for a long time. Most of the glass is busted out of it. This window is somehow still here, even though there's a big dent. Windshield's all busted up. Interior's a little begeezed. And the mirrors are broke. Interior's pretty sweet though. So when I bought this truck, it was rolled and there was no windshield in it. It didn't run. I took it home, got it running like immediately. It was easy. I only paid $500 for this truck. And it was actually in pretty good shape, other than the fact the windshield was busted out because it was rolled. Custom tailgate, folding lights, so if you back into something, they can move. Got a winch on the back up underneath. That's gonna need fixed too though, that hasn't been working. Beadlock wheels that I made myself, welded the rims on, you know. The rear end is welded. I got a battery in the back. There's a little hole cut in the floor here of the bed for it. There's a hatch here that opens up for the access to the winch. Got this here snorkel that I made. Custom wide fenders, barely on there. This is the front bumper that I built for it. It's similar to the one that's on my 05 now. Power steering cooler up in there. I got a skid plate that folds down and goes underneath this. It's in the bed though, it's off the truck right now. Bilstein shocks, when I bought this, had one of them there FabTech lifts. I blew those shocks out like the first time I drove it, and I had to put these Bilsteins on, and I tell you what, they've been really good. Have not had any problems with them, and I really beat the shit out of them. The rack is pretty shot probably, and it really takes a lot of abuse. Oh shit. I forgot, Tim stole the coils and wires out of it to use on something else. When I retired this thing, the engine was ticking really bad, but still ran fine. And the transmission is pretty shot. It grinds going into second and third gear. It was pretty bad. This is a Mitsubishi Evo Rad, and this is a pretty cool upgrade. I've never seen anyone else do it. I just figured out that this would work, and it's much shorter. On the regular trucks, your radiator sticks like way down to here. It's like in the way. So I got that out of there and put this in. Now I don't have any AC at all, I just got rid of it. Got a battery up in the front too, so it actually has 2 batteries in it. Oh, I put this sweet hood shock on it too, so you don't need a hood prop. It lifts itself up. Let's lift it up in the air. Ooh. Oh well. This tire was flat, so I have a spare on this wheel. It's not a beadlock. Let's see. Number one problem I would have with this truck would be these front CD axles. They've been replaced so many times it's not even funny. When I would go on the trails, I would always bring like 2 extras with me. Something else I did was I customized these brackets to lower this down to try to stop breaking those axles. You can see how I modified them. Cut them off, moved them way up to drop this whole thing down to straighten the axles out. So you can see how far they're bent. I mean, that's at full droop. I tucked the exhaust up in. Usually the exhaust kind of hangs down below the frame. I got it tucked in so it's like all the way up against the body almost. I still got a full exhaust on it. This was the main problem I was having with this thing before I parked it. These leaf springs are so twisted. They're like S-shaped now. And I got to admit, when I first built the truck, I cut these loader leaves. You can see where I cut them off so it would flex better. And that worked great for a couple of years, but after a while, just from torquing on it and everything, it twists these so much. You can see the next leaf up now actually broke off. I didn't cut that one broke off. And it got to the point where this thing was twisted so much that it ripped the drive shaft apart. I lost the drive shaft, and that was pretty much when I decided to just stop driving it, because I literally lost the drive shaft. I couldn't find it after it came out of there. My kid found it like a year later. It was like buried in the mud, but it ripped it apart at the joint up here, so I couldn't really fix it, at least not easily. So I didn't even bother to try because it really busted that up.
I can't believe we never punctured this from all the damage on that tank.
Gas tank's a little banged up.
We did not. Look how close it is right here to puncture a hole. We just never. I mean, that is so close to putting a hole in. You can't really get much close.
It's pretty thick. But it took a beat.
Yeah. Well,
took a beat.
Yeah,
you can see where this got hit after this broke. Wow. That took a little beating too, but that still works.
This
fine.
truck was pretty amazing.
There's the winch up under the back. Great spot for it. I really liked it there, but it would get muddy pretty quick. You know, get dirty, and then the solenoids would go bad. I tucked the rear bumper too when I bobbed the bed. I actually stuffed the bumper right in against it so it was like flush. And of course, from bouncing it off of trees and shit, it's packed in there really tight right now. You can see where the frame's just pushing out.
Look how clean the frame is though for...
Clean frame on this one. For some reason, this is a 96 and it's really, the frame is like solid the whole way around. That's the funny thing is, as smashed up as the body is, the frame still has paint on it. It's kind of ridiculous.
You didn't even have surface rust when you got it.
I never broke a rear end in this truck. I broke 2 in my 05.
Drive shaft is spinning. Look at the drive shaft spinning there.
I believe the reason is that the 05 has the electric locker, which makes it a weaker rear end. This one never had the electric locker, but it is welded. And I've never broke a rear axle or a ring and pinion. I never even changed the gearing in this truck. It's got 33s on it. I've been running these BFG 33s on it like the whole time I've had it. And they've held up really good. They still have tread on them. Custom made this here tailgate. It's sweet. It actually pulls off there too. And I did actually use the truck. I would use it to go get firewood back in the woods and stuff too, besides just having fun with it. Shake that wheel for me, Bear. Shake that, Bear. Shake that, Bear.
Shake that. You can't use that.
Shake that wheel back and forth a little bit.
Don't say shake that.
See how bad this seems to be a common issue on these things because I've seen that a few times. I got a bad ball joint on this too. Shake that. Just shake. Oh yeah, it moves. Yeah. So the truck's gonna need a little work to bring it back into shape so we can beat it up even more. For all the more money I have into it, it was a really fun truck, and it was actually a lot more reliable than the 05. I've had a lot of problems with the 05 so far. But I got a brand new pair of leafs for it. I think they're like 3-inch lift leafs, so we'll see what that does. I have a whole 96 4Runner also that's a donor truck for this. I bought for $700. It's wrecked beyond repair in my opinion, so I'm gonna use all the parts off of that thing. Like, it's got a good engine, good transmission, good drive shaft, all the parts I need to put into this. So we'll get this back together. Subscribe to the channel, kids, and join us in the resurrection of the 96 Tacoma. Along the way, we'll be sharing with you lots of budget build tips and tricks that you all could use to save a couple bucks. Of course, if you'd rather see an expensive build, you could check out my 05 Tacoma. It's got long travel suspension, king shocks, 1-ton rear axle, and I'm about to swap in a 5.7 liter V8 from a Tundra. It's gonna be off the chain.